Call me Astro. Hey, I think I found something.
It's just junk.
It's been dead for at least a century.
The kid has hidden talents.
You have no idea.
My army could use a robot like that.
Imagine a world high above the earth where humanity has built a futuristic city filled with advanced technology, flying machines, incredible robots, and scientific discoveries that seem almost impossible. In this world, robots are everywhere, performing countless jobs and helping humans maintain their comfortable lives. But beneath all the technology and futuristic excitement is a much more emotional story about a father, a son, loss, identity, friendship, and the question of what truly makes someone human. This is the story of Astro Boy, the 2009 animated science fiction adventure directed by David Bowers. Astro Boy is based on the famous character created by Japanese manga artist Osamu Tezuka, bringing the iconic robotic hero into a computer-animated feature designed for a modern movie audience. The film combines science fiction, superhero action, comedy, adventure, family drama, and emotional storytelling. At the center of everything is a young boy named Toby Tenma, voiced by Freddie Highmore, whose life changes forever after a devastating accident. His father, Dr. Bill Tenma, voiced by Nicolas Cage, is a brilliant scientist who works at the heart of Metro City's technological world. What begins as a story about scientific invention eventually becomes a deeply personal journey about acceptance and discovering one's own identity. The futuristic Metro City is one of the most important elements of the movie. It is a massive city suspended high above the Earth's surface, representing a future where technology has transformed almost every part of everyday life. People live surrounded by machines, robots, and scientific breakthroughs. But while Metro City appears advanced and perfect from a distance, the world beneath it tells a very different story. On the surface of the Earth, people and discarded robots struggle to survive. This contrast between the technologically advanced city above and the rougher world below becomes an important part of Astro's journey. Toby is the young son of Dr. Tenma, and he admires his father and his work. Tenma is a scientist who spends much of his time developing advanced technology, and Toby is fascinated by the world of science around him. Their relationship is important because Toby wants the approval and attention of his father, while Tenma is often consumed by his work. The story establishes their connection before tragedy suddenly changes everything. Toby's life takes a devastating turn when he becomes involved in an accident connected to his father's scientific work. The loss of Toby leaves Dr. Tenma overwhelmed by grief. Rather than simply accepting that his son is gone, Tenma attempts something extraordinary. Using advanced technology and his scientific knowledge, he creates a robotic version of Toby. This machine is designed to resemble the boy he lost, but it is far more than an ordinary robot. The new robotic child possesses incredible abilities. Astro, as he eventually becomes known, has super strength, extraordinary speed, X-ray vision, and the ability to fly. He is powered by a remarkable source of blue energy that gives him abilities far beyond those of normal robots. His body may be mechanical, but his personality, memories, emotions, and experiences create a much more complicated question. Is Astro simply a machine created to replace someone who died? Or is he a new individual capable of making his own choices? Freddie Highmore provides the voice of Astro and Toby, giving the character a youthful and emotional personality. Astro is not presented as a perfect superhero from the beginning. He is confused, curious, inexperienced, and searching for answers. He wants to understand why he exists and where he belongs. His journey is therefore not only about learning how to use his powers, but also about learning to accept himself. Nicolas Cage voices Dr. Tenma, Astro's creator and Toby's father. Tenma is a complicated character because his invention comes from grief. He wants to bring back what he has lost, but creating a robotic replacement does not automatically heal his emotional pain. Astro eventually discovers that being created in someone's image does not mean he has to live entirely according to someone else's expectations. The emotional conflict between Astro and Tenma gives the movie much of its heart. Astro wants to be accepted as himself, while Tenma struggles with the difference between the robot he created and the son he lost. Their relationship becomes a story about grief and acceptance, but it is also about the difficult realization that people cannot simply be replaced. As Astro begins to understand his abilities, he also discovers that his existence has consequences. His powerful blue energy makes him valuable to people who see technology as a tool for power. The same abilities that allow Astro to fly and protect others also make him a target. This introduces the movie's larger conflict between technology used for good and technology used for control. Astro eventually leaves Metro City and finds himself on the surface of Earth. This is a major turning point because he moves from a controlled environment into a world he barely understands. Away from the city, he encounters people and robots living very different lives. Instead of being surrounded by advanced laboratories and wealthy citizens, Astro now sees a rougher world filled with discarded machines and people trying to survive. It is here that Astro begins discovering friendship and independence. He meets Cora, voiced by Kristen Bell, a teenage girl who becomes one of the most important people in his new life. Cora helps Astro experience something he desperately needs: genuine friendship. She does not simply see him as a powerful machine. She begins to see him as a person. Kristen Bell's Cora provides an important balance to Astro's character. While Astro is trying to understand what he is, Cora helps him connect with the world around him. Their friendship demonstrates that acceptance does not always come from the people who created us or from the place where we were born. Sometimes it comes from people who meet us and accept us for who we are. Astro also encounters Hamig, voiced by Nathan Lane, a surface dweller who repairs machines and becomes connected to Astro's new life. Hamig operates in a world where robots are not treated like people, but are instead often viewed as objects, tools, or entertainment. This introduces another important idea in the story: the difference between what something is worth to others and what it means to itself. Astro's journey also brings him into contact with a group of robots, including Sparks, voiced by Matt Lucas, and other colorful mechanical characters. These encounters give the movie much of its humor while also expanding its world. Astro begins to understand that robots can have personalities, friendships, fears, and hopes, even though humans often treat them as disposable machines. One of the movie's strongest themes is identity. Astro looks like Toby, carries elements of Toby's memories, and was created because Tenma wanted his son back. But Astro is not simply Toby returned from death. He is his own individual. His experiences after leaving Metro City shape him into someone different. He makes choices that Toby never had the opportunity to make, and those choices gradually define who Astro becomes. The movie also explores the idea of being caught between two worlds. Astro is not completely human, but he is also not an ordinary robot. He can feel emotions, form friendships, experience fear, and make moral decisions. At the same time, his mechanical body gives him abilities that ordinary humans cannot possess. This makes Astro feel like an outsider wherever he goes. That feeling of being different is one of the most relatable parts of the character. Even though Astro is a superhero robot, his central problem is surprisingly human. He wants to belong. He wants to know where he came from. He wants people to accept him. And most importantly, he wants to understand whether he has the right to decide who he becomes. The action begins to grow as Astro discovers that Metro City's problems are much bigger than he originally understood. Powerful forces are interested in his energy, and the city itself faces a dangerous threat. President Stone, voiced by Donald Sutherland, is an ambitious political figure whose desire for power becomes connected to the dangerous technology surrounding Astro. Stone's plans introduce a darker side to the futuristic world. Technology can create incredible possibilities, but it can also become extremely dangerous when placed in the wrong hands. The movie uses its robotic technology to explore the consequences of treating scientific advancement as a weapon rather than as something meant to improve people's lives. Another important character is Zog, voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. Zog is an enormous construction robot who becomes connected to Astro after Astro uses his blue energy. Their relationship demonstrates another side of Astro's character. He does not simply use his powers to become stronger. He also learns that his abilities can be used to help others. This becomes one of the defining lessons of Astro's journey. Having extraordinary power is not what makes someone a hero. What matters is what that person chooses to do with that power. Astro could use his abilities to escape from everyone and live only for himself, but he eventually realizes that other people and robots need his help. The film's action sequences allow Astro's abilities to take center stage. His rocket-powered flight, super strength, speed, and futuristic technology create energetic superhero moments. The idea of a young robotic hero flying through the skis of a futuristic city gives the movie a distinctive visual identity. At the same time, the action is always connected to Astro's emotional development. The story eventually brings Astro back toward Metro City, where the people he cares about are in danger. This is where his journey comes full circle. Earlier, Astro left the city because he felt rejected and confused. Now he has a reason to return. He is no longer returning because someone expects him to be Toby. He is returning because he has chosen to help the people he cares about. That distinction is extremely important. Astro's heroism comes from his own decisions rather than from the circumstances of his creation. He was built because someone wanted to replace a lost child, but he becomes a hero because he chooses to protect others. The climax places Astro against a powerful threat involving advanced robotic technology and the future of Metro City. His abilities are pushed to their limits, and the conflict forces him to confront the meaning of sacrifice. Astro has spent much of the story trying to understand what makes him different, but by this point, he begins to understand that being different does not make him less valuable. Dr. Tenma's relationship with Astro also reaches an important emotional point. Tenma has to confront his own grief and recognize that Astro cannot simply be a replacement for Toby. Astro has become someone with his own identity, relationships, memories, and choices. The father and son relationship therefore becomes something new, built not entirely on the past, but on acceptance of the present. The supporting cast gives the film a broad range of personalities. Eugene Levy voices Oren, Tenma's robot household servant, while Bill Nighy voices Dr. Alefun and Robotsky. Nathan Lane plays Hamig, Matt Lucas voices Sparks, Donald Sutherland voices President Stone, and Samuel L. Jackson provides the voice of Zog. The film also features several additional voices, creating a large cast of humans and robots that fill out the world around Astro. David Bowers directed the movie and co-wrote the screenplay with Timothy Hyde Harris, with the story drawing from Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy creation. The film runs for approximately 94 minutes and is presented as an animated science fiction adventure aimed at family audiences. Its visual style combines futuristic cityscapes, robotic characters, superhero action, comedy, and emotional drama. Astro Boy was released theatrically in 2009, with its United States release arriving on October 23, 2009. The movie was presented as a major animated adaptation of one of Japan's most recognizable fictional robot characters. It brought Astro Boy to a new generation while retaining the central ideas surrounding the character: technology, humanity, courage, and the search for identity. The trailer for Astro Boy introduced audiences to a futuristic world where robots and humans coexist, while quickly establishing the emotional foundation of the story. It showcased Metro City's enormous futuristic environment, introduced Astro's creation, and highlighted his extraordinary abilities. The promotional footage also emphasized his rocket-powered flight, super strength, action sequences, friendships, and comedic moments. The trailer also made the emotional relationship between Astro and Dr. Tenma an important part of the presentation. Rather than selling the movie as nothing more than a superhero adventure, the marketing showed that Astro's story was also about a young character trying to understand who he is and where he belongs. The combination of action, humor, science fiction, and family emotion gave audiences a clear idea of the movie's overall tone. What makes Astro Boy interesting even years after its release is the simplicity of its central question. If a machine can think, feel, remember, make choices, care about others, and sacrifice itself to save someone else, what exactly separates that machine from a human being? The movie does not approach that question like a complicated science fiction philosophical drama. Instead, it explores it through the experiences of a young robot who simply wants to be accepted. Astro's powers are impressive, but his greatest strength is ultimately his compassion. He learns that strength means more than defeating enemies. It means protecting people who cannot protect themselves. It means standing up for friends. It means accepting that the past cannot always be changed. And it means understanding that identity is something you can build through your own choices. The relationship between Astro and Cora is another major part of that development. Cora represents a new beginning for Astro. She meets him after he has already experienced rejection and confusion, giving him a chance to build relationships without being defined entirely by his connection to Toby. Their friendship helps Astro realize that he can create a life rather than simply inherit one. The surface world also teaches Astro important lessons about inequality and acceptance. Metro City represents technological progress and privilege, while the world below shows the consequences of a society that leaves certain people and robots behind. Astro's movement between these two worlds allows him to see both sides. He becomes someone capable of understanding that technology should not determine the value of a life. Ultimately, Astro Boy is a story about becoming more than the circumstances that created you. Astro begins as a robotic recreation of a lost child, but he gradually becomes something entirely different. He becomes a friend, a protector, and a hero. His journey is not about proving that he is human in the literal sense. It is about demonstrating that qualities such as courage, compassion, loyalty, and love can define a person just as strongly as biology can. The movie combines that emotional message with colorful animation, futuristic technology, flying sequences, robot battles, comedy, and adventure. It is a story designed to entertain younger viewers while still presenting themes that older audiences can recognize. Grief, parental expectations, rejection, friendship, and self-discovery are experiences that can resonate regardless of whether the main character happens to be human or a robot. By the end of the story, Astro no longer needs to ask whether he deserves to exist. His actions have already answered the question. He has discovered that his life has value because of the choices he makes and the people he chooses to protect. He does not need to become someone else to be worthy of acceptance. And that is ultimately what makes Astro Boy more than a simple story about a flying robot. Beneath the futuristic technology and superhero action is a coming-of-age story about a young character discovering that identity cannot be handed to you by someone else. You have to discover it through experience, friendship, courage, failure, and the choices you make when someone else needs your help. Astro begins his journey as a creation born from tragedy, but he finishes it as someone who has created his own purpose. He learns that being different does not mean being alone, that power carries responsibility, and that the people who matter most are not necessarily the people who created you, but the people who accept you for who you become. In a world filled with robots, technology, and futuristic possibilities, Astro Boy's most important discovery is surprisingly simple. Sometimes becoming who you are is the greatest adventure of all.